Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Sorry, I had to go and immediately do that myself now. Hey, welcome everybody to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. I hope you are all having a good day so far. I know I have been. And today we got a fun-filled episode, considering that we are officially going to be starting summer, or at least the summer season is already coming on. And by the way, thank you very much, Viper, for the sudden subscription right there. We are going to be at the point where we will have tons of announcements and tons of things to go and talk about. In fact, for this week, I am not going to be alone on this one. I actually have a very special guest star with me. You probably knew him once upon a time as Some Jerk with a Camera, a very great video series that goes into media that is related to theme parks. But now he has his own podcast called Escape from Vault Disney, in which he goes and analyzes any random content that is within Disney Plus. And he has had a whole bunch of special guest stars, but now let's have the tables turn where now he will be a special guest star in another podcast. So please welcome everyone to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, Tony Goldmark. Tony, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing great. What about you, Tony?
You phrased it as though it's my first time ever being a guest on a podcast. Like it's completely foreign terrain for me to be someone else's guest on a thing, and that's true. So no, it's not. But who cares? Who's counting?
Good point. Well, hey, I mean, it's nice for you to come over here and like, hey, it's always fun to go and like interact in other podcasts and stuff like that. And even I actually got into your podcast. Actually, I'm sure the episode is actually coming soon.
Oh, yeah. It's releasing next week. Matt here was recently on an episode where the randomizer, which picks all my topics, every episode of Escape from Vault Disney is chosen by an online randomizer. And when Matt was a guest, I mean, obviously Matt's the animation expert, so naturally the randomizer was kind enough to give us a Nat Geo show called Jungle Animal Rescue, where we watched 45 minutes of like tigers and snakes getting rescued and shit. So, and
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It was honestly unexpected, but then again, with a randomizer going through an entire streaming service, I guess like that's kind of what you have to expect.
Yeah, it happens now and then. Actually, someone pointed out that on weeks following guest choice episodes, because I also do a thing sometimes where once a guest has been on my show 10 times, I'll let them choose the episode. I'll let them choose the topic we cover for one episode. Everyone only gets one. And this is the third time now when immediately following a guest choice episodes, we've gotten a Nat Geo special. I guess it's the randomizer punishing us for exerting free will.
Yeah, it's a very picky system. Like it easily gets jealous that whenever like someone else's pick from their own decision, they're like, oh, you think you're too good for me? Fine, why don't you check out From the Yellow Square?
And we are too good for it, yes.
Yeah, but
I don't know why I devised the stupid system. It's complete nonsense.
Hey, you're the one committed in this relationship, so might as well make the most with that ring.
But I do love being on other people's podcasts because I don't have to edit them. And apparently no one edits this one, so win-win.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win for me. Like right after doing all this, I just go and immediately upload it onto YouTube and podcast services.
Lucky bastard.
Hey, the benefits of live podcasting. What can I say?
Yay.
And before we begin, though, there is just one quick thing that I would like to go and mention, and this is kind of a sad thing that has happened a few days ago, which is in regards to the passing of a fan favorite voice actor, in which maybe you have heard. Billy Kometz has sadly passed away. This man has been known to be a rising voice actor in both anime and video games, in which in the anime world, he has already voiced in a lot of high-profile animes, including Boruto, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Beastars, Agretsuko, Pokemon Journeys, and Neon Genesis Evangelion, as well as video games such as Fire Emblem Three Houses, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020, Persona 5 Royal, One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, and Triangle Strategy, as well as actually beginning his career where he worked at Disney, where he worked in the entertainment section of like the parks for like the Disney Cruise Line, and even played Aladdin in the final years of the Aladdin musical at Disneyland. So I just want to go and quickly mention, considering that he did pass away due to stage 4 colon cancer at the young age of 35. So just thought I would go and quickly highlight that, and he will definitely be missed.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've never been a big anime fan or a big gamer, so unfortunately I'm not really familiar with his work, but yeah, it's always sad when someone dies of cancer that young. I mean, cancer. I've lost my mom to cancer about 10 years ago, and it was just awful. And yeah, even though I'm not familiar with his work, absolutely R.I.P.
Mm-hmm. I thought it would just be like worth a quick mention, considering
of
the
course,
influence that he has done. But anyways, now it is time that we go into the fun of it all. So, Tony, I would like to ask you, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
Nope, but I'll pretend I am.
Great! That's what I always do every episode. And Chadwell, by the way, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let's see. Yes. That is great to see. That is wonderful to go and check out. So with that said, let us now go and get this one started. And before we do begin, by the way, I would just like to go and give you a quick reminder that if you guys would like to go and check out the live podcast here on Twitch and watch it without any ad interruptions, then all you have to do is go and subscribe. And at the same time, don't forget to go and subscribe to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel, along with following me in any podcast service that you are listening to me on. And also, if you want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards at the same time, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. All right, so now with that out of the way, let's begin with our first story, as we will go into Geeked Week, in which last week, Netflix has announced a whole bunch of big news of what's going to be coming up in the streaming service. Tony, do you have any personal favorites of, or anything that like caught your attention throughout all the announcements that they have made throughout Geeked Week?
I don't think I've actually I don't think I'm familiar with what you're talking about there. Actually, I got that news article about that. I got that trailer for that one sea monster show they're doing, or is it a movie or something?
It's a movie.
Yeah, you sent me that trailer. I'm not sure I saw any list of all the Geek Week announcements, but
oh. It's interesting because
I'm sorry.
No, it's perfectly fine. It's like I'm a little bit improvising, admittedly, but it's just because Netflix has made like all these different announcements of stuff such as like showing first clips or like little teasers of stuff like the Tim Burton Wednesday show, or like I think some of Stranger Things. They just made like all these different announcements throughout the week, where every day. Yes,
I did on YouTube actually just today. Saw the clip they released of the second season of Inside Job. Was that part of all this?
Yes, actually, like whatever announcement that they have made related to Netflix, it was all during that Geek Week thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I love Inside Job. I think that's an amazing show they got there. It's from the creator used to write for Gravity Falls. I know Alex Hirsch is involved in it. He's like a producer and he does some voices for it. The concept of Inside Job, if you haven't seen the first season, is basically a workplace sitcom set at the deep state. It's like, what if all these kooky conspiracy theories were real and there was an actual office full of people who had to implement them? And it's a really funny, silly show, and I can't wait for the second season. That's going to be awesome.
All right, but the big one that I want to go and highlight here is actually a trailer for a movie that is actually coming soon, and especially considering that this is coming from a guy who is a Disney veteran. So with that said, let's go and start this off by checking out the trailer for the upcoming Netflix animated movie, The Sea Beast.
There was a time when sea beasts would ravage our shores, and no ship was safe on the sea. But those days are over. Today, valiant warriors battle the beasts far beyond the horizon. You're Jacob Holland, a weapon against nature's darkest design. And I'm joining your crew.
Oh, no, you ain't.
Hey, put me down! Let me go!
We'll be off to kill a monster!
Ow!
You stowed away?
Yeah.
I like this kid. We're dropping you off at the nearest port. Hunting ship ain't no place for a kid.
But you joined the ship when you were my age.
Hold on, Maisie!
And look at you now.
That's not the same thing.
Isn't it?
No, it isn't. The Drakemoor's thick with monsters. Monsters that want to eat us. We're not keeping it.
But he's so cute.
You and I have a different idea of cute. Just don't move. Let's be going. I see a fire in her. Same fire I saw in you. The monsters I can handle. We got it right where we want it.
Wait, Jacob!
That one. She'll be the death of me. I swore I would do everything in my power to keep people safe.
You can be a hero and still be wrong.
The ocean has sent us its worst, then we'll send it right back. Fire!
I've always wanted a pet,
That's not a pet.
but I already named it.
Let me guess. Blue.
Aww.
And that is The Sea Beast, in which it will be coming soon to Netflix on July 8th. And Tony, I would like to know your thoughts on what we have just seen.
There sure was a lot of sea beasts in that trailer, all right.
At least
Hey,
at least it delivers on the title, so.
It definitely does. It looks fun. It kind of looks like How to Train Your Sea Beast almost. It's got that kind of vibe to it, but as a seafaring epic rather than a medieval fantasy. Chris Williams, of course, the director of it, he's been at Disney for a while, or was, I guess. Apparently left to do this. I know he co-directed Bolt and Big Hero 6 and did some co-direction on Moana. And also, even before all those, was one of the big story guys on Emperor's New Groove, one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, from what I understand, it was Chris Williams' idea to basically pare down what was Kingdom of the Sun initially down to its bare essence and just make it a buddy comedy about, these two guys and these two villains. So
Yes.
So we can basically thank Chris Williams for Emperor's New Groove in his own weird way. And yeah, I am looking forward to this movie. I mean, the visual style isn't really breaking too much new ground. It just kind of looks like the traditional CGI Disney classic DreamWorks type style. I'm getting a lot of vibes of remember that DreamWorks Sinbad movie from like 2003.
Yes, I remember.
But like a CG version of that almost, like at least as far as tone is concerned. And but yeah, it looks like it has potential. I'm interested in it.
Nice. And honestly, I feel the same way as you, where I'm getting heavy vibes of How to Train Your Dragon, but in all the best ways.
Sure, yeah.
I really like
those movies are great.
Oh yeah. And I feel like what they managed to make it work is all the unique and creative sea monsters that they have, and it's really the world building that is a major selling point, where we are in this world where these sea monsters are kind of like pests in a way, and that these people have to make sure they got to take them down one by one. And we're kind of like in this like 16th, 17th century era, like with like we're pretty much in the age of pirates. So
yeah.
it's basic where we see like these pirates kind of like the good guys who are pretty much like pest control, trying to get rid of all these different sea monsters, taking them down one by one.
It looks like a movie where there's pirates in it, but it's not so much a pirate movie as it is a throwback to like Ray Harryhausen adventure seafaring epics of the late 50s and early 60s, like Jason and the Argonauts or Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Cool stuff like that, so I'm on board.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like it does feel like a classic throwback to those sea adventures, which is kind of surprising nowadays that we don't necessarily get a lot of. So in that regard,
Right.
I think it's actually pretty exciting. And even with the animation itself, yeah, it is kind of like there's nothing revolutionary about it, but it still looks great on its own, that you could tell that this is from a Disney veteran, because like even though it's from Netflix, it has kind of that how can I put this, kind of that realism feel that Disney would normally have in their animated films, where the character animation, the character movements, and all the different effects, they're kind of rooted into reality in a sense, where they don't necessarily go crazy, but it's really everything around them that's a lot more supernatural than it is like the actual characters themselves. But still though, very well made, still looks really nice, and I think like one of the big selling points will be in regards to the animation.
Definitely, yeah. And I do miss, I hate to be a broken record on this because I know I've talked about this on a bunch of my own podcasts, but I really do miss 2D hand-drawn animation. And I probably would be more excited for this if it was that, but I realize how rare that is these days. So, it's fine looking the way it does.
well, then again, I will say that technically there is another announcement that Netflix has done. Do you remember Klaus, or have you seen Klaus?
I still need to see Klaus. I've heard it's great. I'm a horrible animation fan. Haven't seen Klaus yet. Sorry.
Well, don't worry though, because the guy who made Klaus, they actually announced at the same time with all the different announcements that there is going to be a second movie that he's going to be bringing out, which will be fully hand-drawn animation.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. But there is one thing that I will say in regards to Sea Beast that I'm not particularly a fan of, and this is honestly my one criticism that I do have, and it's honestly in regards to the little girl. Like, honestly, I'm not really that big on the little girl, because I feel like in terms of what the narrative is going to be, it feels like they're just going to go and tack in this, like, Jim Hawkins style character where it's like a little kid who thinks like I could do anything, but then like all the adults will say no, but then suddenly like she'll grow on everyone, and then they'll see like, oh, okay, maybe she can do it despite her age and stuff. I don't know. I just feel like that's the one thing that's preventing me from being like 100% on board and 100% excited about this. I don't know. I just feel like with the girl
God forbid a kids movie have any kids in it, right? I mean, it's,
yeah.
No, I mean,
it's
it's
true.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's animation. I mean, I know it's a stereotype that animation's for kids and blah blah, but also animation is kind of for kids. It's not. It doesn't have to just be for kids, but I feel like kids gravitate more towards animation. than they do live action. So so it's only natural that a lot of it would cater to them. And yeah, so of course there's gonna be a kid in these movies sometimes, and I think as long as she's as long as she's a well-written character, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, no, and you do have a point. And
Maybe it's a bit of a cliche, but the world is made of cliches.
Yeah, but you do have a point though. But I will say, like, my problem with it is not necessarily that they have a kid character. I'm not saying that there should be no kids presence among the cast and stuff like that. That's fine. It's just, at least in the trailer, the way that they do portray her, I think the best way to put it is that she feels kind of Scrappy-Doo-ish, where she wants to be bigger than she actually is, and that's where I do get a little bit of the annoyance just from like what I see in the trailer. Now, I could be wrong, of course. Like, maybe there is that chance that in the actual movie she could actually turn out to be great. She could actually turn out to be like a great, engaging character we can all relate with. But it's just, at least from the clips that we see in this trailer, she's not really selling me that much. Like, I'm not fully on board to be in an adventure with her. I kind of feel like the adults right now, where like they just want to get rid of her.
I guess I see what you mean by Scrappy-Doo, but that's just what we're seeing in the trailer. Maybe maybe the full 90-minute movie will do more with her.
Yeah, of course. I'm just expressing like what I see, like, from
sure.
what we are getting so far, and that's honestly my only criticism that I have with this. Other than that, though, I do find that so far this is actually pretty awesome. What they are delivering is actually a lot of fun. I do love the world building. I do love the animation. I do love all the variety of different sea monsters that they do have, where it has a similarity to How to Train Your Dragon, but in all the best ways. So I think there could be a solid chance that this could turn out to be a great addition for Netflix.
Absolutely.
All right, so
I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah, simple as that, though. But then again, it's just a trailer. We only there's only so much we could say for like something that we've seen for only 2 minutes.
Right.
All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think of this new trailer of The Sea Beasts? Are you guys excited to see this movie? Did the trailer really sell on you to really get hyped up? Are you guys a little bit weary of it? Let me know what you all think on this. Okay, let's see what we've got. I wasn't too sold on the premise, but after seeing this trailer, I'm kind of sold. I love all the beast designs, Carl Urban is clearly giving it his all, and I like the world building, so I'll give it a run and as an appetizer before Thor Love and Thunder. In short, it gives off a lot of Robinson Crusoe vibes, except I'll actually end up remembering what happened, unlike the wildlife. Well, outside of the cheap 3D tricks. Oh god. Have you ever seen The Wildlife?
I remember seeing a trailer for it, and I remember thinking, I saw a trailer for it like in theaters before something else, and I remember thinking, wow, that is one foreign dub trailer. That like they clearly are trying to piece whatever they can together off some abandoned project that they never bothered to finish properly. Or something. I don't know. It did not look very good.
No, it was not. I think I remember it was just way too boring, because it's basically Robinson Crusoe, but in the perspective of talking animals. And
right.
all I can remember is that it feels like it was supposed to be made several years ago, because they really were dependent on like going all in your face with the 3D stuff. Like, that was a big selling point, the fact that it is like in 3D. Oh boy. I even remember like when I did the review, I even used like a clip from Muppet Vision 3D. It's like, and we won't rely on cheap 3D tricks. Did you say
cheap 3D tricks?
All right, let's see what we got here.
I always love the ironing board gag in that film.
Oh my
Here
God.
in this modern high-tech facility.
Yeah.
Ah!
Oh my God, Muppet Vision 3D is my favorite
It's
Disney
amazing.
ride, period.
It's amazing.
It's a masterpiece. Let's see. This movie still looks cool. The little girl is a bean, and he's a reluctant dad. Yeah, the plot comes across as generic, but it still looks charming. I want to see it, and I like the characters and production design. It's cute, action-packed, so yeah. All right, we got someone excited for it. Let's see. Shiver me timbers, I cannot wait to set sail on the Netflix ship to catch the Sea Beast movie. Out of all the sea beasts my telescope points at, the one I like to keep as the parrot on my shoulder is the yellow beast. The animation is about as beautiful as the sea itself. If the film is bad, the scurvy dog shall be walking the plank. If the film is good, we shall celebrate with a bottle of rum. Drink up me hearties, yo-ho.
Yo-ho, indeed.
Aye, me matey. Let's see. This movie looks like a combination of Moana, Journey 2, The Mysterious Island, How to Train Your Dragon, and Sea of Thieves. But overall, the animation looks good, kind of like Disney animation, and the story looks engaging. But the characters, like the little girl, seems a bit meh. It's pretty surprising that a Disney veteran is working on this movie with Netflix. Also, that one scene with the boat looks like the girl got eaten by the Kraken. When did this became so dark? Well, I will say,
When did this became so dark, Matt?
I don't know, about maybe the 1 minute and 30-second mark? But I will say that technically this is not really the first time that a Disney veteran worked with Netflix. About 2 years ago, we had Glenn Keane working on the movie Over the Moon.
That's right, Over the Moon.
Yeah, I will admit, I wasn't too big on Over the Moon. Not necessarily my favorite Netflix movie.
You weren't over the moon about it?
No, I was.
You weren't over the moon about Over the Moon.
No, I was not. All right, I'll read one more comment before we move on to the next story. Hey, look, it's Sinbad, but actually good. Ooh, dang. While I may not be fully engaged with the stories shown so far, the action looks energetic, the animation is quite lively, the world building seems pretty good so far, and I especially love all of the different monster designs and how colorful they are, most notably blue. This will be a movie that I'll certainly check out when it lays ashore. And so with that said, if you guys are excited to go and check out the Sea Beast, then keep in mind that it will be coming soon on Netflix in July 8th. However, I will say do a little bit of research, and there is a chance that maybe this month it could be released in theaters, considering that it did state that it is going to be in selected theaters in June.
Right. Yeah, Netflix does that sometimes. They give a movie like a 2-week limited run before it's just available to watch for free to whoever subscribed. So yeah, I guess it's their way to see if they've got a bigger hit on their hands than they think, but usually they don't.
That is true. Now, moving forward to our next story, Tony, I think you'll be the one who will take center stage on this one. I'm sure you'll definitely be well informed with your thoughts on this, because I would love to know your thoughts. And by the way, before we continue, I just want to ask, have you seen Spider-Man No Way Home?
I have, yes, indeed. Several times by now, in fact.
So that seems like a good indicator that you liked it. Did you?
Yeah, it's a great movie. Definitely, it brings the John Watts Spider-Man MCU trilogy to an amazing conclusion. And obviously lots of fan service in it, but not just for the sake of fan service. There's a great emotional story being told. It was, it was a movie with almost impossibly high expectations, and it actually mostly met them.
Nice. So could you imagine if there is a chance that more of that expectations can actually be met?
Oh boy. I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
Yes. So with that said, I would like to go and talk about the big reveal that happened recently in regards to a new version to Spider-Man No Way Home. Yes, not long after the disastrous re-release of Morbius, Sony Pictures has revealed that in honor of 60 years of Spider-Man in general as a comic book character and 20 years of Spider-Man as a movie character, they are going to not only re-release Spider-Man No Way Home on the big screen, but release an extended edition by the name of Spider-Man No Way Home, the More Fun Stuff version, in which we do have a release date which will be coming soon this Labor Day in the US and in Canada. And they will go and announce several other release dates around the world soon. So we do know that it will be coming out on starting Friday, September 2nd. Now, from there, we don't necessarily have a confirmation as to what specifically are they going to be releasing more of, or what more are we going to see, but all they promise so far is just going to be an extended edition of Spider-Man No Way Home with some new, never-before-seen scenes. So, Tony, I just want to know, are you excited for the More Fun Stuff edition?
I'm excited if it's actually an extended edition that's actually a longer version of the movie we got, as opposed to, remember that one re-release of Avengers Endgame where they claimed it would have, like, excuse me, where they claimed it would be bigger and longer and be an extended version, essentially. Sorry about this. But instead, it was basically just the same movie, but with like a deleted scene with incomplete. I'm really sorry. I gotta get some water.
No, it's fine. Don't worry, man.
Talk to the people. Sorry about this.
Yeah, don't cough out a lung now. All right. Anyways, to go and fill in the time as Tony gets his water. So, one thing I just want to go and clarify, I did intend to have Tony like take more of a center stage to go and discuss about this. Admittedly, I have yet to go and watch Spider-Man No Way Home because if you remember during that time when No Way Home was released, I will say that, hey, Tony's back. Oh, wow, that was actually quicker than I thought. Okay, so you good? Oh, okay, hold on a sec. He's just getting his water, folks. Okay. Yeah, but hold on.
I'm sorry, folks.
Okay.
This is why my podcast isn't live.
Fair enough. No, but I was about to say to the audience that admittedly I have yet to actually check out Spider-Man No Way Home because believe it or not, the crazy thing is that when the movie was released, I think it was during like when Omicron was like having a massive wave, and where I was from,
I might be suffering from it myself. I actually had COVID a few weeks ago, and I'm 99.999% recovered. But apparently, you just caught a whiff of the other 0.0001% there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
do?
And from there. Believe it or not, that's when the government of Quebec actually announced that they wanted to go and do like another lockdown, and they locked down all the cinemas so that we couldn't go and watch a movie in the movie theater. And I remember, I remember because like right after Christmas, I decided like I still want to do my work, so I literally drove a whole hour like to the next province, like to Ontario, so that I would go and watch Sing 2 so that I could do a review on that. It was kind of crazy because I don't think anybody in this world could ever say that, oh, I had to drive a whole hour just to go into a movie theater so that I could watch Sing 2.
The most serious movie ever made according to the trailers. The trailers for Sing 2 just made it look like the most important fucking thing.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear on this thing, by the way?
No, feel free, man. Be yourself.
Excellent. The most fucking important goddamn movie, you know, just so bloated and pretentious, like, and I still haven't found. Sing 2, the fucking Zootopian Idol got really dark, basically.
Yeah, it was overhyped, and I can tell you right now, all those trailers that you've seen, like that was the majority of the finale. Like that was the end of the feature. They didn't even show like the entire hour's worth of like the build up, which is the same like family friendly shenanigans that they would show. But yeah, I would not recommend anyone to go and do that, to drive a whole hour just to go and watch Sing 2.
But anyway, getting back to Spider-Man.
Yes, going back to that.
Like I was saying before I started dying, I mean, I'm excited if it's actually an extended version of Spider-Man No Way Home. If they actually put the deleted scenes back into the movie and make it a longer version. But I hope it's not a disappointment like that re-release of Avengers Endgame a few months later, where literally all they did was have like a director intro, and then after the movie, including after all the credits and shit, they just had like a deleted scene of Smart Hulk rescuing people from a building, where they got Reginald Vell Johnson to do a cameo because they wanted it to be a Die Hard homage, I guess. And the effects on Smart Hulk weren't even finished. He was just like this green blob on the screen, but they're just like, hey, here's a deleted scene we almost showed you. Because I guess it was a relic from, I mean, this is going down a rabbit hole, but originally Smart Hulk was going to show up at the end of Avengers Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
In the bit where Bruce Banner is in the Hulkbuster armor and just kind of punching himself and trying to get Hulk to come out. And ultimately, Hulk does come out, but it's the Smart Hulk version of it. And that was supposed to be a big audience applause moment at the end of Infinity War, but they found it just didn't work. It didn't work with the otherwise very dour ending of Infinity War. So even though they'd already put Smart Hulk all throughout Endgame, they had to do a reshoot of that scene in the diner just to explain why Hulk was suddenly wearing glasses and clothes and shit. So
yeah, so just out of curiosity, when it comes to No Way Home, are there any deleted, or like, I don't know if you know any like actual deleted scenes, but is there, like, now that they are going to be doing like an extended version, what would you like to see, like, be like, have a scene be extended, or what more would you like to see like be explained in No Way Home?
I don't know. I guess maybe I guess maybe more stuff in the first act. I guess movies like this are always kind of in a hurry to get to the good stuff, and I feel like I could have used maybe a little bit more of more of an exploration into what life was actually like for Peter Parker and Aunt May and Happy and all these people, in a world where everyone knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And I also would have liked to see a little bit more explanation at the very end. This is getting into spoilers though, and you haven't seen, but
that's fine, honestly. Well, it's fine, but
I don't know who in your audience hasn't seen it. Without spoiling anything, there's a big. Basically, the movie ends with Doctor Strange doing a big magical thing that isn't quite fully explained, and arguably it doesn't really need to be explained, because it's more about the emotional impact of this thing happening in that moment. But just logistically, it leaves a lot of unanswered questions. Just in terms of logistically, how would that work? How would this fit into that new dynamic? How would that fit? What is actually going on here? They don't over-explain it in the movie, and that's probably a good thing ultimately. But I would like to see a little more exploration of some of the implications of that, maybe in the extended version.
But then again, I would like to go and ask, like, the thing that you have suggested in terms of the magic of Doctor Strange that they kind of left out a little bit, did they, like, haven't they explained that a little bit in Multiverse of Madness just recently?
Not really. They briefly mentioned that, I had a multiverse thing going on with Spider-Man, but there's one scene in Multiverse of Madness where they call back to the events of No Way Home, but only very vaguely, and also due to the precise mechanics of what actually happened in No Way Home, they kind of can't go into it too much, and to say much more would give it away. But
Okay.
But suffice it to say, Multiverse of Madness explained a lot more about the nature of the multiverse, but not about the nature of what happens to Peter at the end of No Way Home. And that's and that's what I'd like to see explored more in the extended version of No Way Home.
Ah, okay. And ultimately, considering that you highly enjoyed No Way Home, are you willing to go and actually check out No Way Home again, but with this extended edition? Like, when Labor Day comes, are you going to go to the movie theater and watch this version of No Way Home?
I probably am, because quite frankly, you know, I mean, I have to see it just to see if they work in Morbius. I mean, you know, we're all you know, we've all got Morb fever here on the alternate. I mean, talking about alternate universes, there's probably a universe where there really was this grassroots campaign and not just what Sony thought there was because everyone made fun of the damn thing. No, I mean, I'm probably going to see it just because, of course, Sony being Sony, of course, why would they reveal this beforehand? Because they want as many people to come back to the theater as possible, because Spider-Man and to a much lesser extent Ghostbusters, which I know we'll talk about, are pretty much all they have at this point. So of course they're gonna milk this dry as much as possible. But yeah, I probably am gonna go back to see it just because they haven't announced yet whether this extended version will ever be released digitally or to any streaming services, or if there's ever going to be another way to see it aside from going to see it in theaters this Labor Day weekend. So I got to see it just for that, just because I don't know if I'll ever have another chance to see it again.
Yeah, fair point. And honestly, I do feel like it's funny how like they just recently announced this like soon after the whole Morbius incident thing, because the way that I see it, it's kind of funny that they are re-releasing Spider-Man back, because I feel like in a way Sony is just like trying to maintain the hype of like their version of Spider-Man, because you got to keep in mind that like we're kind of in a pretty empty gap in terms of their releases. The next Spider-Man movie technically won't be until January of next year with Kraven the Hunter, and that's mainly because Across the Spider-Verse was supposed to be coming out this October, but then they had to completely delay it to June. So from there, like, there's kind of this empty gap, and I guess, like, Sony just really wanted to make like, they just need a validation to why they have to keep Spider-Man, and especially after Morbius, which now it's like for sure they have lost money on that, so they just want
they need to keep the lights on over in Culver City, and so I can't entirely blame them, because what the hell else have they got this year? But it is kind of a sad state of affairs, really. Yeah,
they just need to do the best they can in order to justify, like, hey, we got no, we need to keep Spider-Verse. We need to keep doing these things. We swear we're going to make something good out of it. Hey, at least their animation crew knows what they're doing with it. Oh, and actually, it just reminds me, have you, I don't know if you've seen the news today, but they revealed the new villain for Across the Spider-Verse.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, apparently his name is going to be Spot Man, and I believe Jason Schwartzman is actually going to be the voice. I'm
not familiar enough with the comics to know who Spot Man is, but I love me some Jason Schwartzman. Or the Spot. Yeah, I'm not well versed enough in the comics to know who the Spot is, but I love me some Jason Schwartzman, so bring it on.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be definitely hyped for that. So it looks like you are pretty enthusiastic for the more fun stuff version. So we'll see how it goes.
I like fun, so
hey, there's gonna be more fun stuff, and who knows, maybe they'll surprise you with like a cameo of a fourth Spider-Man.
Now bring on the Morb fun stuff edition, and that'll really get people in the seats.
Imagine, oh my god, imagine if what it actually is like the post credit where you see Tom Hardy and his version of Venom. Like, it's like the only addition is that right next to him is the Jared Leto Morbius, and that's the only thing that they've added.
and the Michael Keaton Vulture flies in and says, "I'm still getting the hang of this world too." But I feel like Spider-Man's involved somehow.
Yeah, it's like
even though Keaton had fucking his character was no longer angry at Spider-Man. He refused to sell Spider-Man out to the guy from Better Call Saul. Anyway. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, Spider-Man: Homecoming had that 8 years later title when it had really been only 4 or 5 years later. So Sony can't do a damn thing right.
Yeah, oh boy. We'll see what they can do with the more fun stuff edition. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to go and ask you all, what do you think about the more fun stuff version? If you guys have seen No Way Home, I would like to know your thoughts if you are going to go and check it out, or especially if you have not seen No Way Home, will this convince you to go and check it out on the big screen? Let me know your thoughts on that. Let's see. The re-release with extra footage should belong in a Blu-ray/DVD release instead of a movie theater, in my opinion. But for people who haven't seen the movie yet, then here's your chance, folks, to see this on the big screen. At least it's better than Morbius. I'll just stick with the E.T. re-release in IMAX. Also, hey, Tony.
Ooh. Hey, whoever that is.
It's Jonathan. I do remember.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah, he is a fan of yours, actually. Like, he's the one that's in SoCal, like, often meeting up with plenty of other, like, celebrities, like, in LA and Hollywood festivals.
Oh, cool. Hi, Jonathan.
Let's see. I'm really excited for this. Here's hoping the deleted scene of Tom Holland's brother getting reinserted. And as for a fourth Spider-Man, this is out of left field, but would require a lot of licensing, but I'm hoping Spider-Monster gets a cameo somewhere down the line. I'll check this out for sure. Oh my god, I think I know what he's talking about. Do you?
No. Like I said, I'm not really well versed in the comics.
No, this ain't the comics. I think he's referring to the Sesame Street version. I think it's like Grover.
Oh god,
like Grover dressed up as Spider-Man.
Oh right.
Oh,
it's all coming back to me.
I mean,
wasn't Spider-Man on the Electric Company, not Sesame Street, or was he on both?
I think he was on the Electric Company, but I mean, in Sesame Street, he was just dressed up as Grover.
Sure,
no, it was Grover who
dressed up as Spider-Man, right?
But then again, it would actually be true to the title, because if you're going to add Grover into it, it is more fun stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. No Way Home is currently my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie, so with this announcement, looks like I'm about to break that one guy's record. Even if it is a repeat of what that weird Endgame re-release, I'm just gonna watch it for No Way Home itself, since it's so damn good. But if they do incorporate Morbius, they should write a scene where he emerges from Doctor Strange's portal and be all, "It's Morbid time, bitch! I'm crazy as hell! I got a VHS copy of Cool Runnings, bro! You already know!" Oh boy.
Why Cool Runnings?
Why not Cool Runnings?
Why not, indeed?
Hey, I mean, it is a cult classic, so I mean...
Sure, why not?
It's what inspired him to go in Morb.
Oh yeah, it inspires us all to Morb, I think.
Let's see. I'm really excited. Spider-Man No Way Home is my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie, and a prime example of how to do nostalgia correctly, and this sounds really cool. Personally, I would love to see even more scenes with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, so overall, I'm excited, and honestly, at this point, I'm actually rooting for Disney to take the Spider-Man rights back from Sony, because I don't trust Sony with Spider-Man rights anymore outside of Spider-Verse. So maybe we can wait after 2024 when they're finished off with the Spider-Verse movies, and then they can go and have a little discussion.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll read one more before we move on to the next one. Spider-Man No Way Home to me was just boring. Oh boy. I do like it way more than Far From Home, but maybe some new parts of the movie could improve it and be in the same ranks of what the MCU used to be back from 2008 to 2018, because since Infinity War, the MCU worsened, and it upsets me to see how low Disney went with it. So I hope No Way Home's extended edition can actually be good. Also, AniMat, what are your thoughts on Scrat Tales? Believe it or not, I have yet to actually check them out. I know, I should have, but
And you call yourself an AniMat.
I know. I'm so guilty. I mean,
You're barely a live action Matt.
You know, the sad thing is that I'm watching the Obi-Wan series before that I've seen the Scrat Tail stuff, but I should. I know I should. Oh boy. But for any of you who are excited to go and check out Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version, then keep in mind that it will be coming out in theaters starting Friday, September 2nd. Now, moving on to our next story. Speaking of Sony, Tony, would you consider yourself a Ghostbusters fan?
Sure, why not? I like those movies just fine, I suppose.
Okay, well, we'll consider that as a maybe, because considering that Afterlife became a pretty successful hit for Sony, that was pretty much their signal to go and turn this into a major franchise about as big as Spider-Man right now. So let's get into all the announcements for Ghostbusters. Well, specifically for Ghostbusters in general, not just Ghostbusters Afterlife, because there was 1 week last week in which they said that it was Ghostbusters Day, which gave them an excuse to go and reveal all the different kinds of announcements that they have for the entire Ghostbusters franchise, which includes...
It was the anniversary of the original movie's release, I do believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
on June 8th, yeah.
Yes, that is specifically the reason. And from there, they would go and announce all the different action figures that could come out soon, the video games that will be coming out, some VR experiences, and of course, they talked about the sequel for Afterlife, in which they have revealed that the main characters are going to be going to Manhattan and they will be visiting the legendary firehouse. But the big thing that they have revealed is that Ghostbusters is going to be coming back to animation, and this is all thanks to Sony Pictures Animation, in which they have revealed that there is going to be an animated Ghostbusters movie that will be coming soon. Now, we don't necessarily have any major details as to what will be happening in this Ghostbusters movie. All we know is that apparently is that this will be a spin-off film of sorts in which they're gonna go and do like, what's the best way to put it? It's gonna be a spin-off where it's not gonna be featuring any of the main familiar characters. It's not gonna be directly linked to Afterlife. It's gonna be a bit more of its own thing with new characters and stuff like that, but will of course be part of the Ghostbusters universe. But we do have a confirmation of who shall be involved with the movie, in which we have Brenda Hisue, who was the supervising producer of Disjoint, who's going to be the writer of this, as well as getting Jennifer Kluska, who previously directed Hotel Transylvania Transformania, and Chris Prynoski, who was the executive producer of Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, or is going to be the producer for the upcoming Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, as well as being the founder of the animation studio Titmouse. Both of those people are going to be the directors. At the same time, they have also revealed that Sony Animation is going to be collaborating with Netflix in order to go and make a Ghostbusters animated series. However, from there, we don't necessarily have a confirmation if that will be connected to the animated Ghostbusters movie, or if it is going to be directly linked to Ghostbusters Afterlife or anything like that. So, Tony, I would like to know your thoughts on what we got here.
Well, another confession, I still have not gotten around to actually seeing Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's not that I don't want to, it's just that, you know, again, when it was in theaters, COVID started to look scary again. And like, I only saw No Way Home once in theaters, and that was just because I'm an MCU fanatic. But I never got around to Ghostbusters Afterlife, unfortunately. But I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard good things about it. And now, this is a little bit off topic, but I remember when the trailers for Ghostbusters Afterlife started dropping, there was a lot of discourse to the effect of, see, this is what a Ghostbusters movie should be. This feels like a Ghostbusters movie, not like that 2016 piece of crap, you know, that, which I think it goes to show you just how kind of nostalgia poisoned we can be, because The Ghostbusters Afterlife, at least from the trailers, didn't really feel like what the Ghostbusters movies had been. It felt like Stranger Things. It felt like they just did Stranger Things but injected Ghostbusters stuff into it. Whereas the 2016 movie was about a bunch of people going into a ghost busting business in New York City, and it was a comedy much more overtly, which is much more tonally in line with the two 80s Ghostbusters live action movies. So it was just, people basically wanting a Force Awakens for Ghostbusters. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind franchises like this going off in new and different directions, but but don't call it what it ain't. It's like, but anyway. So, but obviously, like we said, Sony doesn't have that much else, so naturally they're gonna try to get as much out of Ghostbusters as possible. And people in general did seem to like Ghostbusters Afterlife. It was much more well received than the 2016 movie. Again, I haven't seen Afterlife yet, so I can't judge whether it was as good as the 2016 movie, in my opinion. But obviously they were always gonna put out more Ghostbusters content until it became unprofitable to do so. So I'm not surprised by any of this. And also, I'm excited for the animated version because, Into the Spider-Verse was better than most live-action Spider-Man movies. So, in fact, I'd say all the live-action Spider-Man movies. I'd say it's better than all of them. So, if they maintain that sort of tone with it, that could be very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I do have to confess is that Ghostbusters is honestly one of those franchises that the fan base kind of killed the mood for me. I feel like after the whole controversy with the 2016 movie, I felt like that controversy just went way too out of hand. Like it might sound crazy, but honestly, I felt like people made it way too political than it really should be, where they try to make like some kind of major statement if they're either a fan or not of that Ghostbusters film. So honestly, it really turned me off by it. And especially how there are certain people that try to like fuel the flame of that anger of the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, like still try to milk it for what is worth, especially with the release of Ghostbusters Afterlife, where it honestly put me off. Like it made me refuse to go and actually support Ghostbusters or to go and watch Afterlife or anything like that. Now, with that said, this is not to say anything negative regarding Ghostbusters itself, whether it be the original movies or the 2016 movie or with Afterlife. I mean, if you enjoy those films, like, that's perfectly fine, regardless of which one it is. It's just, it's one of those that honestly, I just hate the fan base that is just behind it, and it just really killed it for me. But
it took all the fun out of it for a while there, definitely.
Exactly. Like that was the big thing, is that it just killed the fun for me. So but the funny thing with now with Afterlife now being so successful, it kind of feels like this was a plan that Sony Pictures had for like a long time. Like this is the stuff that they really want to do with Ghostbusters and try to really expand that as a major franchise, to go and create all these different films and all these different projects and stuff. Because I do remember several years ago, I don't know if it's like 2014 or 2015 or something like that, but I remember this is not the first time that Sony Pictures Animation tried to do a Ghostbusters film. Because
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because back then they wanted to do some Ghostbusters movie, which apparently was said to be someone apparently mentioned it was apparently 2016 or something like that. But it was at the time when I think they wanted to do like from the perspective of the ghosts. So they wanted to do like that kind of Ghostbusters spinoff, but it never really went anywhere. It's like the announcement happened and suddenly the project just disappeared. But now, well, then again, I guess the 2016 movie kind of played a significant role onto why it died. But now that they do have their opportunity, now that Ghostbusters has become profitable again, like now, like they've really like not only doubled down, but they've tripled down and just do like all these different spin-offs with all the VR experiences, and especially like with all the animated projects that they are bringing out. And I'm sure with Ghostbusters, like they could find some ideas of what they could possibly do. Like maybe they'll go on.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the original movie, there's that scene where Venkman says the franchise rights alone will make us rich beyond our wildest dreams. It's like the nice thing about the Ghostbusters franchise is that it could go in literally any direction as long as you've still got ghosts and the busting thereof. You know, it's you could set up various ghost busting operations all around the world. You could have in addition to the New York location, you could have Ghostbusters LA, you could have Ghostbusters London, you could have, just ghost-busting organizations everywhere that all, have their own concurrent storylines going on, and it would all fit, so I don't know why they haven't gone in that direction.
I guess I guess it really is to wait for a moment like this when they can officially like say that, oh, Ghostbusters can make money, Ghostbusters is cool and popular again, so that they can go and find a new way to go and like really boost up its fame, and like they can have more characters than the main four to go and like profit off of.
Right.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the animated stuff, is there anything that you would like to see in terms of what they can do with it, or do you want them to go back to like the old premise that they had before from like the perspective of the ghosts, or do you want to see like a new team again of Ghostbusters?
You know what I think would be interesting? Either as maybe not as a premise for an entire series or a movie or something, but like at least as an episode. What if someone tries to turn the Ghostbusters into a ghost hunting reality show? Try to bring that aspect of it into and it's just this cheesy, corny ghost hunting reality show, and maybe the ghosts don't want to cooperate because they don't want to be exposed on TV too much or something. I don't know. Just bring that element into it.
Yes.
And so they have to so they have to fake it, just for the cameras, and one of the Ghostbusters feels like they're being debased or something like that. I could see that I could see that as an interesting premise.
Oh yeah, like do some kind of like do a mockumentary like What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah, like just have that kind of mockumentary style where like you have like a little bit of that Office influence, but it's all about like trying to capture the ghosts. I will say I would be down for that kind of show instead of what Kristen Stewart is doing with that super gay ghost hunting thing. Like, have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so apparently, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Chatwall, but I heard apparently that Kristen Stewart, she's looking for people in the LGBTQ plus community in which, like she wants to go and find like the flamboyant ones to go and create her own reality like her own ghost hunting reality show, where it's all these queer people just going around trying to like hunt ghosts and stuff like that.
And they thought the alt-right got angry at the all-female reboot. I mean, I guess I don't quite see the connection there, but I guess I don't have a problem with it either. It just
I don't know. It's like, what if we hunt for what if ghost hunting?
What if we hunt for gay ghosts? That's what.
What if we hunt for ghosts, but it's like super gay?
Sure, why not? I'm in favor of anything being more super gay than it already is. So
let's see. Yeah, let's see what we can do. Like, I didn't expect ghost hunting as something that needs to be completely yassified.
I mean, we still don't know the gender of the ghost that gave Ray a blowjob in that first movie. So maybe it was a dude. Maybe Ray's gay. Gay Ray right there.
Oh my god. Yeah, that'll be the new hashtag. Hashtag gay Ray.
Hashtag gay Ray.
And it's up to Kristen Stewart's team to go and find that out. Oh boy. But yeah, honestly, when it comes
comedy fun.
Yes. But I will say, I mean, like, Ghostbusters has already proven that animation has tons of potential of what they can do with Ghostbusters. Like, with the previous animated series that came out, like, in the 1980s or 1990s, or
By the way,
yeah.
I mean, getting back to ghost hunting reality shows, how pissed do you think every last ghost hunting reality show is that the real Ghostbusters was taken?
Yeah, that is true. Like, and ironically, it's from the people before the actual Ghostbusters came in.
Right,
it's like
exactly.
Yeah, like, if you want to be the real Ghostbusters, you got to have the gorilla.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. But yeah, to go back to what I was talking about, there is definitely a lot of potential, and it has already been proven in the past when they have done like the series from the 80s and the 90s, and I believe there was like that other one in the 2000s, I think, that also has a bit of its cult following. But we saw how much potential there is for like Ghostbusters in animation, and considering how Sony Animation is right now, considering that they are at their prime, and like the way that they've handled other properties, especially with Spider-Man, like they've been doing it pretty well. So maybe there actually is some potential to this Ghostbusters movie. Like, I dread to know like how the fans are going to react to this. I'll still try to separate myself from that fan base, but there, you know, honestly, there could be some potential. Like, it's still very much early, and especially the fact that technically one of the directors is the one that worked on Hotel Transylvania Transformania, and that thing was just recently released. Like, I think honestly they're at the point where they're very early in production, so even if this does get greenlit, like, we're probably not going to see a release date until like 2025 or maybe later.
Probably not, yeah.
So yeah, for now, we can only wait and see with what they're doing. But and yeah, by the way, the other animated Ghostbusters series, yes, it is Extreme Ghostbusters. Thank you for correcting me on that. But you know, honestly, there could be some potential with Ghostbusters in animation. We'll see how it goes. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you all feel about these animated Ghostbusters projects from Sony Pictures Animation? Are you guys excited for the movie and the series? Are you guys a little bit concerned about it? Do you have any additional questions? Let me know what you guys all think on this.
Well, the moment you say I'm going to go to the chat wall, everyone just starts copy-pasting.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone starts copy-pasting the essays they've had prepared for
They
this.
know the routine. They all,
yes, they do.
They know the setup. They are prepared for it. And when they know that signal happens, that's when you see like the chat wall is like flooded with all these comments. Let's see. I really like the new Ghostbusters movie, plus the original animated series is a certified classic, so I'm really curious about this. Maybe the show will actually show the results of dogs and cats living together. Hell, maybe there really is mass hysteria. But you know what would make the Afterlife sequel completely bonkers? Just no explanation. Involve the 2016 Ghostbusters, and just make things crazier, have Paul Rudd turn Chris Hemsworth into a block of cheese. Just why not?
I mean, you know what? Sony right now is probably looking at how well No Way Home does, and they're gonna fucking do exactly that. They're gonna create some bullshit of like a dimension portal thing, and they're gonna bring in the 2016 Ghostbusters in to do some shenanigans. Because why the hell not at this point?
You know, honestly, I want to say yes, but technically, I think they've already done that with Afterlife, considering that like all the original Ghostbusters kind of got reunited.
Sure.
But honestly, I feel like that. But then again, that could be inevitable as well, where we will see a comeback of the 2016 Ghostbusters. I mean, like if Andrew Garfield's return was so highly praised, I mean, who's to say that? The 2016
I mean, the 2016 Ghostbusters was way better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies, put it that way. So,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, if people are clamoring for those to, If people are doing revisionist history of, no, those movies were actually good, then there's no reason why the 2016 Ghostbusters can't get similar reappraisal.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. That upcoming animated film really got my attention since it's from Sony Pictures Animation, and Ghostbusters have done animated shows before. But an animated movie could be something fun at its best. But yeah, I'm happy for more Ghostbusters films. Hopefully, it'll be more the ghosts in Ghostbusters. Actually, there's just one thing that just popped into my head. One thing that they could do is that they could be a little bit more like Star Wars, where maybe we will see them start trying.
Speaking of fan bases that have gone insane.
Yeah, that is true. But what I mean is that I can imagine maybe with some of the animated stuff or something like that, that they will have updated versions of from the previous cartoons, like previous elements from the original animated series or from Extreme Ghostbusters suddenly making a comeback either in the upcoming animated works or even in Afterlife 2.
Yeah, why not?
Let's see.
Why not indeed?
As a huge Ghostbusters fan, I'll say this. With the animated movie, I'll just have to wait and see with what happens with it. With the Netflix series, I think it might take the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous route by making the series canon part to the original series. As for my thoughts on the upcoming Ghostbusters 4, I'm kind of concerned about it since I thought Afterlife ended the original series perfectly, but we'll just have to wait and see with what happens. Oh yeah, I know that's another entire debate in itself of how the sequel to Afterlife is going to be. Let's see, what other comments would we have? When it comes to the animated movie and series handled by Sony Animation, I'll definitely be down to see what happens now that Afterlife is successful. I know Ghostbusters is one of the few franchises outside of Spider-Man that managed to keep Sony Pictures afloat alongside Jumanji, Bad Boys, and Uncharted, for example. But I can see the potential that Sony can do well with the franchise, so I hope it does well and continue to make its fun like Afterlife. You know,
did that Uncharted movie actually do well?
They did say it was kind of successful and promised like a sequel or something. I don't know. There hasn't been like a full-on announcement, but Sony seems happy with how things went with it. But I can imagine if they try to do a follow-up or something, like they'll just drop the ball on that immediately.
Sure.
But one thing I am curious about, they do bring up a good point about Jumanji. Like, are they still making like a third movie or something, or did they just stop making more of those Jumanji movies?
I have to assume they're still making a third movie because the second movie ended with a cliffhanger. So so either that goes completely unresolved forever, or they just grit their teeth and make a third movie anyway. I mean, obviously, like everything, the pandemic probably threw a huge monkey wrench in their plans for it. I'd actually be really interested in what could happen if the Sony executives still want to keep making Jumanji movies, but they can no longer afford Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart and Jack Black and Karen Gillan. So and the writers have to explain, well, those are the avatars in this franchise. Like, we can't really, the movie doesn't make sense if we can't get these actors anymore. It's not like they can be replaced. So they have to pretend like, I don't know, fucking Roman Reigns or someone is the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and everyone just pretends he looks the same. You know, once they get to like Jumanji 5 or 6 or something, you know, everyone pretends, you know, the character clearly played by Hannibal Buress is really Kevin Hart again. You know, I could see that getting very amusing.
Yeah. Now I'll read one more comment before we move on to the next story. This has a lot of potential. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Ghostbusters, but I have seen the original 2 movies and enjoyed them. Thinking having an animated movie could have potential similar to Spider-Verse, so overall I'm excited. Also, I'm just glad Ghostbusters is being looked at in a more positive light again after the controversy surrounding the 2016 reboot, which, say what you will about the movie, the controversy was blown out of proportions. Absolutely. Like, it was way too ridiculous. It shouldn't have...
Yeah, and look, it wasn't a masterpiece or anything. I thought it was fine. I thought it was all right. You know, and if you actually gave it a chance and you hated it, That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just what my problem is with people who already decided they hated it before they gave it a chance. Just because, and I know they'll, bitch and moan if you even so much as suggest that the reason they hated it beforehand was because of the icky woms. But, if you haven't even seen it, if you're not even willing to give it a chance, what other conclusion is there to reach? So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, honestly, it's not worth really going into that crazy hate about about 2016 Ghostbusters. And I can imagine, like, it will eventually become like a cult favorite, like a decade later. Like, it'll be like the next Star Wars prequels, like eventually there will be some newfound love to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so moving on to our next story. Speaking of controversies, we actually got a brand new one that the cartoon community got massively upset over. One in which that one comment led to just a massive uproar. And this comment actually came from none other than the head of the kids and family programming at Warner Brothers, Amy Friedman. Now, there was this entire discussion, an interview with Amy Friedman, in which, actually, I'll just go into this link that goes more into detail. It was with worldscreen.com in their subsection tvkids.com, in which they went and discussed about the future of Cartoon Network, talking about how things are going to go, close and continue, how things are going to go with what they're going to do with their upcoming shows and how they're moving forward now that they're going to do preschool shows with Cartoonito, and how they're going to go and do more live action shows, which that already is kind of a controversial decision, especially when in the mid-2000s, Cartoon Network tried to do that and it was a massive disaster. But one comment in particular really did sting the entire cartoon community, and I'll read it right over here. And this is actually in regards to how girls perceive animation. And she states here, "Girls often graduate out of animation. Some of our most incredible competitors have been at the live action game for a long time. We know that's what girls want. With live action, we're excited to reflect the world as it is, inviting girls in without alienating the boys. We do that through single camera and multicam comedies and dramas." Friedman noted that the company has been faring well with the live action movies, an hour or shorter schmovies, which can function either as a pilot for a future series or simply as a standalone. We know that on streaming those do well. One example is the upcoming American Girl Corin 10 with Mattel Television. HBO Max also recently greenlit the event series Be Loved with Peyton List and the Michael Poyers created Home Sweet Rome. Friedman also highlighted the upcoming Degrassi revival with Wild Brain. What is the streaming hour-long juicy drama that is Degrassi, and really respects its history but also brings in a whole new audience, she said. We have other acquisitions on the air. We're trying to make sure that HBO Max is a place where girls find themselves. So basically, she explained that a big reason as to why girls would quote-unquote graduate out of animation is because they want to go into live action. And she's hoping that with the live action content on Cartoon Network and HBO Max, that they can go and tap into that girl market. However, this article here from The Gamer, I will say that it is definitely worth reading because it is a massive counter-argument against that entire comment in regards of girls graduating out of animation, especially with the girl representation that has recently been in animation, including Korra. There's also Infinity Train, and even mentioning a bit of Turning Red. So, Tony, I would like to know your thoughts into this.
Admittedly, I'm not a girl, nor am I an animator, but I would be very curious to know what exactly that executive is basing that statement on. The idea that, first of all, that animation is something to be graduated from, like it's a like it's ITT or some shit. Like it's like the Cartoon Technical Institute. Like you've watched enough cartoons now. Here's your cap and gown. Here's your diploma. No more cartoons for you. It's like I don't understand that mentality. There's always been, well, not always, but now there's a wealth of amazing cartoons for both kids and adults, and both. And I'm very and why are they actually using any market research that to determine whether, you know, girls like stop being interested in animation earlier? Because just by my vantage point, admittedly, I haven't read any statistics or anything, but it really doesn't seem like that's the case. And as a matter of fact, I would say, just from my vantage point, it seems like the animated shows that do the best and that inspire the most fan engagement are shows where the primary audience is gay girls on Tumblr. Like, you know, shows like The Owl House and Amphibia. And I mean, Steven Universe is over now, but definitely Steven Universe fit into that. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was talking a few weeks ago to my good friend Luke Ski, who of course worked on the show Mighty Magiswords for Cartoon Network, which was created by my other good friend Kyle Carosa. And I might be talking out of turn here, and if so, I apologize, Luke. But Luke was kind of expressing his frustration that Magiswords never quite found the audience that never quite found the audience that they all felt it deserved, and partly because it might have, in hindsight, it might have been a little too boy-centric. In hindsight, it might have been made a little too much with boys in mind, as opposed to, you know, the gay girls on Tumblr that make every successful animated show a success. You know, if you know, maybe you know, this wasn't any sort of official statement or something. I probably shouldn't even be saying this on a public podcast, but you know, he was saying something to the effect of, "Man, if only Vamber had been a lesbian, we might have survived," or something like that. But I'm sorry, Luke, again, for taking you out of context like that. But you know, and maybe he might be onto something, because I always thought Magiswords was a really good show, and yeah, it never quite did find the audience as some of these other shows were talking about. And it's also partly because I think, you know, Magiswords, and this is not an argument, and maybe this is just my tunnel vision that I'm fixating on Magiswords so much because my friend created it, but the point of Magiswords was always just funny. You know, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I love shows that are just funny. But I feel like most of the animated shows that have been succeeding, like towards the end of their runs, they get a lot denser, they get a lot darker, they get their storylines become a lot more involved, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But I do think the desire for stuff that's just funny, and this is definitely a stereotype, and there's definitely exceptions to this, but I do feel like the funny mindset does appeal a little bit more to boys. And so if anything, my point is, if anything, I would say just the opposite is true. I would say, you know, at least the girls I know who are into animation are like insanely into animation. And even if there is a bit of a drop off in terms of sheer numbers, you know, of most girls, you know, losing interest in animation at a certain age, I'd say that's made up for by the sheer just voracious passion of the ones who are into it. Mm-hmm. So that's my take, admittedly from my very limited vantage point. So.
No, you bring up a lot of very good points, and like, just to go and add my piece into it, like, number one, you hit the nail right in the head when you mentioned about like the vocabulary of it. That's the one thing that I feel upset about it the most, more so than what people have mentioned, is just like the way that she said that girls graduate out of animation, not grow out of it, not move on from animation, but graduate. It's like, what do you mean graduate? Do you get like a freaking degree out of it? Like,
I mean, now, admittedly, this was an interview where she said this, right?
Yeah.
So it was just her talking off the cuff as opposed to her, writing a think piece about it. So it's possible she just couldn't come up with the right words at the right moment, and the word that sprung out of her mouth anyway was graduate. And maybe she just misspoke in that regard. So benefit of the doubt.
I mean, yeah, that is true. I don't know, but still, I just feel like that's it just feels a bit dickish. It's like you use a highly positive term like graduate, like it's something that you aspire to do. Like one day,
like Pomp and Circumstance starts playing. The Pomp and Circumstance sequence from Fantasia 2000 starts playing, where Donald is Noah, because that's graduating with animation, I guess.
Yeah, basically, it's like when you change the channel from Cartoon Network to NBC, like suddenly you hear da, 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 da. Yes,
and
but,
then
go on.
And then you get like a remake of The Graduate, but it's animated. It's like,
yes,
Mrs. Rabbit, you're trying to seduce me.
Oh my God, yes. But also another thing that I want to mention is actually in regards to what a lot of people have mentioned and why this is a controversial statement and why it's so upsetting, but it's also in regards to not just girls who are animation fans, but girls working in animation. What does it say about them that they haven't grown out of animation and yet they've made a whole career of themselves? People like Lauren Faust or Rebecca Sugar.
Or Katie Wallander, or
Dana Terrace.
There's all sorts of amazing women working in animation at all levels. There's female creators, there's female, storyboard revisionists, and everything in between. And yeah, don't they deserve their due too? It's like I'm glad there are more female-centric shows coming out. And I don't know, again, I'm just basing this on what I see on social media. Maybe the ratings don't actually reflect this, and maybe that's what this executive is talking about. But it feels like the shows that get talked to death, or not to death, but talked up a storm, are the female-centric ones. It feels like that's where all the discourse is at least from my vantage point.
Yeah, and it is true. I would love to see the ratings in terms of who does watch animation and stuff like that. And also, like, I noticed in the chat wall, everybody is mentioning so many different artists and animation people that are female. People like Lauren Faust, Vibsy Pop, Domi Shi, Jennifer Lee, Jill Allen.
I mean, I mentioned Inside Job earlier. I can't remember, her name escapes me offhand, but I know that show has a female creator. So they're,
Yeah, and another thing that I do want to mention is that another reason why it's so controversial, like technically there's kind of like this weird loophole where like there might be an argument where that is true, but a big reason for that is because they're not willing to go and make shows, whether it be like adult animated series or animated movies and stuff like that are aimed towards girls. And that's why, honestly, the more that I think about it, the more that I feel like possibly one of the most revolutionary movies that was released this year is Turning Red, because that movie is actually geared towards an audience that is often very much overlooked in animation, and that is girls, like not just girls in general, but girls who are entering into their teen phase, considering that Turning Red is this entire metaphor about having a period. So it's specifically
not just a metaphor at certain scenes. Like we have lived long enough to see a Pixar movie with tampon jokes. What a time to be alive. Holy shit.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
yeah, but Turning Red is a fantastic movie, and I agree. It's one of the best movies of the year so far. And it's one of Pixar's best movies in practically forever, precisely because it feels almost like an anti-Pixar movie, or it feels so unlike what Pixar movies generally are. Like after Turning Red came out and there was that announcement of that upcoming Pixar movie Elementals, where it's like, what if fire and water had feelings? It's like, this again. You just did Turning Red and now you're going back to the well with this again. It's like, ugh. one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah, like
going
back to the old formula. Like I'm personally optimistic about.
I'm sorry, someone in the chat said, "What if tampons had feelings?"
Yes.
Oh, and someone pointed out pads, not tampons. I'm sorry, forgive me, raised male. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that is true. We have the luxury of not having to need that. But yeah, like the whole point that I do want to make is that technically it does show that, like, with that comment, it kind of opens up this major problem that is happening within animation. The fact that technically, yeah, it feels more common that, like, technically there is some truth that girls do grow out of animation more likely so than guys, but that is kind of a problem because there's not enough content that feels like they would go and talk to them. Now, we do live in an age where we are seeing a growing amount of them, thankfully, with stuff like Legend of Korra or Infinity Train or Steven Universe, or even movies like Turning Red, or even some of the Disney films. Like, I could even argue, like, recently with Encanto or Raya and the Last Dragon, where that they do help out bring in that female audience so that they can also enjoy many of the characters in there, rather it be like Raya herself or even like plenty of them in Encanto, like Mirabelle or Luisa especially.
Yeah, and again, I feel like, you know, what they might potentially, again, I haven't seen the ratings, but what they might potentially be losing in quantity of female fans, I think they're making up for in quality. You know, in terms of just the sheer passion of the fans that do exist for these female-centric shows. Because, again, those are the shows I see the most discourse for.
Exactly, and they're turning out to be major hits. Like, and I think Disney has proven that, especially like Raya and the Last Dragon, for example, considering that it is a Southern Asian movie with a female-centric lead. That one has become like one of the most watched streaming movies of the year in 2021.
Oh yeah.
And then, well, Encanto, the success kind of speaks for itself, where that ended up becoming a massive phenomenon. And I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers come out with Turning Red, in which that one has also become a massive hit, or like one of the most watched movies of 2022.
Yeah, it's that is one area where just people who do pop culture commentary like you and I, where we're kind of flying blind because streaming services don't tend to release their numbers. So I guess they don't want it to become like a box office mojo horse race, and that's understandable, I guess, but kind of shuts us out a little.
Yeah, like it like we don't know. Yeah, it leaves us clueless to know if something is successful or not.
Right.
But yeah, overall though, like, yeah, it's a pretty bad comment. But then again, it's a comment that does reflect upon how the animation industry is today, and how like it still feels a little too boy centric in a sense, and that maybe we should open, like, if we need to if we want to have more girls engage with animation regardless of their age, then we should also make more content that they can also be on board with, rather it be go on.
Yeah, if you make it, they will come, I think, is, you know, it's the Field of Dreams logic. It's like, if you don't put it out there, obviously they're not going to flock to it because they have nothing to flock to. Yeah, and I will say, like, once again, I also think it's kind of a mistake sometimes to put too much stock into something that someone just says off the cuff, because, you know, a lot of times, especially when you're doing a live interview for something like this, you're just kind of trying to think of words to say to fill the dead air, you know, and those words might not necessarily have the facts behind them at all times, and maybe people like that shouldn't be doing public interviews all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe they should just go back to their offices and work on the false slate or whatever the hell they do. But but you know, it's you know, like I said, you know, just trying to fill the space of the dead air. So So
go on. Sorry.
no, you please.
Yeah, and also I want to add that I know a lot of people have been bringing up other movies. They've been mentioning films like Frozen, which is another great example, and some people are mentioning Brave or The Cruise or whatever. And I keep in mind, I don't necessarily mean movies that star female characters. I mean like movies that like stories that center around like female themes or stories that have like female related metaphors. I mean more stuff like that in which girls can have a much easier time to actually connect with, instead of just guys hogging all the things saying like, oh, this is for me, this is for me.
And I also feel like it's possible that maybe the exec in question might be fixating on the wrong side of YouTube, because if you look at certain clickbait videos that are just made by like alt-right dudes in their parents' basements, obviously they're going to be hostile towards any female-led content. So, for some reason. So, it's best to focus your attention on who's actually going to help you and as opposed to someone who has no interest in helping you.
Exactly. So now that two male guys have all explained our thoughts about
we figured it out. You're welcome.
Now that the two men have explained about women in animation, let's go into the chat wall, and I would like to know your thoughts in regards to Amy Friedman's comment, and especially if you're a girl, this is your time to shine. This is your moment to go and talk about it. Let's see. Well, okay, we got one that's literally called Pixar Girl. So, my God, this woman was dumb. That's just a really stupid statement and kind of sexist. The fact a woman is saying that is just ick. Well, I feel like she's basing it on the idea of girls mature faster than boys. True or not, the landscape of geek girls has changed where girls are more allowed to show interest in non-Twilight things. It sounds like she thinks girls grow from Powerpuff Girls, then Kim Possible, then Twilight, then 50 Shades, which is more of a downward spiral than a graduation. Get it, Amy? Oh boy, imagine that evolution.
A de-evolution, definitely.
Oh yeah. Let's see. And it is true technically, because like when you do think about it, because the comments like in terms of the live action shows that she brings up, yeah, like they are the type of shows that like they want to be heavy girl centric, so they might be the stereotypical type of girl family friendly shows. And I don't mean the ones that all genders can get into like iCarly or whatever, but I mean the kind that's like the old Mary-Kate and Ashley movies.
Well, she mentioned Degrassi, which obviously you're a huge expert in, being Canadian. Isn't every Canadian legally required to watch every episode of Degrassi ever made?
Honestly, I would have to double check on that. I think I missed that memo.
Oh, you might be in trouble with the law there, son.
Well, then again, is there a French version of it? Because Quebec is often very strict when it comes to French.
It's called Degrassi.
Ah.
Degrassi.
Probably. Maybe that one I've seen.
Have you ever seen the 90s movie Canadian Bacon with John Candy, where John Candy plays this American guy who just hates Canadians, and he, due to plot reasons, he's driving through Canada with this van that has all these, eat shit Canadians,
oh my God.
Canada sucks. All this stuff written on it.
It's been such a long time ago, though. Oh my God.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, he's got all this anti-Canadian stuff written on his van, and he gets pulled over by a Mountie played by Dan Aykroyd doing a cameo, who he doesn't have a problem with the graffiti. He just insists that it also be written in French. It's like yes! You have to write all this stuff in French too.
Oh my God, that is so true. Okay, yes, that is an entirely Canadian / Quebecois thing. Oh my God.
Anyway.
Let's see what we got here. Didn't Cartoon Network ironically canceled Young Justice years ago because they didn't like how more girls are watching the cartoon than boys? However, maybe this exec meant rating-wise. She saw that young girls aren't as interested in watching cartoons and buying the toys that come with it versus teen / older girls that don't even buy similar merch or just binge cartoons elsewhere, especially on the internet. Yeah, I mean, it's an executive, so of course it's all based by the numbers, and especially at some place like Cartoon Network or Warner Brothers, especially, they seem to very much be lenient on ratings and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that would be her reasonings.
Sure, yeah.
Let's see here. My reaction to the quote she makes about graduates out of animation is just, bruh. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense, and thus making many girls actually did work in the animation industry. And about Cartoon Network's comeback to live action, I gotta say that it might fail very hard, like what happened with CN Real back in 2009. Come on, Cartoon Network, haven't you learned from your mistakes? You know better than that. Then again, it's the streaming age, and sometimes they could do crazy things to people. I'll read one more comment before we go into the end. Just reading about what Amy makes me want to slam my head into something hard. To still see this tired old mentality regarding girls just frustrates me. Not only does it demean girls who love animation, but also women that work on animation as well. If they want to get more girls to watch their channel, how about they make more animated shows for girls instead of live action shows, which has proven to be big failures? Exactly, just make more content for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think with that said, we shall now go and jump onto the grand finale. And Tony, I mean, I still have to confess, I still have a massive soft spot for some jerk with the camera and for like the old content that you used to do. So we gotta at least have one time talk about theme park related news.
Oh, must we? Must we indeed?
Yeah, especially when recently Disney has gone very crazy. Like, the news has been completely chaotic about them, especially with how recently Bob Chapek made the unexpected move of firing their head of TV, Peter Rice, which caused their stocks to go significantly down, and like this massive pariah around the media again, like in regards to what happened.
Let me tell you, Chapek is not going to destroy the Disney company, but it won't be for lack of trying.
Oh yeah.
The man just seems to have a death wish for his own company.
Exactly. But in this case over here, we're going to be looking at a different aspect, something that is considered to be like a highlight of what Bob Chapek has done. And I mean, some people could argue that it was in conception long before Bob Chapek was CEO, but you got to keep in mind that he was the head of theme parks before he was named CEO, so it was still his major doing. So with that said, let's go and talk about our final story, which is in regards to Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. So you probably have heard about the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser Hotel, the latest multi-million-dollar hotel in which Disney has built to be this massive immersed experience, so that for 2 nights that you would stay in this hotel and be immersed into the world of Star Wars, and that you would follow along this epic story. And some people have noted that there have been a lot of things to criticize, rather it be the entertainment, rather it be how small the rooms are, or especially in regards to the price, which some say that it is around $5,000 to $6,000 to stay there for 2 nights only. And suddenly, Disney seems to be rather shocked that the hotel is not making them money. That apparently
Who'd have thunk?
That apparently it was... Yeah, go on.
Who'd have thunk? Spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a 2-night stay. Who'd have thunk people wouldn't exactly be lining up around the block to give them that much money in this economy?
Yeah, especially in this post-COVID age.
Yeah. In this post-COVID age, to specifically be hermetically sealed in what's supposed to be a spaceship. In with no real windows, where the only time you can go outside is like this. There's like this one outdoor area where in universe they've like simulated the outdoors on the spaceship or something. That's the excuse they give for it. But otherwise, you're trapped in this indoor space, you know, breathing the same air as everyone else, and they have no COVID checks at Disney World anymore. So, yeah, I wonder why. But honestly, that's just kind of an unfortunate side effect of all this. Really, it's fucking obvious why people aren't doing this. It's the price, stupid. It's no one, people want to do this. People still do like Star Wars. People are still interested in this concept of an immersive Star Wars hotel. They're just not going to fucking pay $5,000 to $6,000 for just 2 nights of it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, honestly, lower the price severely. Hell, cut the price in half, and you'll probably see room bookings double. So you won't actually lose any money there, but you'll actually keep the rooms filled for a few more months than you initially thought.
But Tony, they actually do have a little bit of a solution. They know that there is a problem, but their idea, maybe it might not necessarily be the price itself, but rather they're going to go and spend more money to try to figure out what the problem could necessarily be. Which, apparently, reading from my source here on Fatherly, it explains, according to Disneyland News, the company is looking to understand why their first fully immersive hotel experience was so bad that no one wanted to book to stay. Now, some guests who had previously stayed at Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser,
it's the price,
and completed a survey after their
the price.
After their stay, are being asked to join.
It's the price.
Asked to join a paid focus group so Disney can learn more about their experience. So their idea. Go on.
I just saved Disney thousands of dollars of market research. It's the fucking price, you jagaloons.
Although I will say, I would honestly be down to join this group meeting, because apparently to go in, you would have to go and start things off by answering a 5-minute survey through email. And then if you are selected, you would join this virtual meeting that lasted 90 minutes about what you think the problem could be. And at the end, you end up receiving a Disney gift card for $175.
$175, which I haven't done the math, but it feels like that could buy you like maybe 90 seconds at the Galactic Star Cruiser. It's like, good God, it's the price, stupid. It's the price, you fucking for the price they're demanding for these fucking rooms. Anything less than getting to, do lines of coke off a gonk droid with the ghost of Carrie Fisher would be a ripoff. It's
and the craziest thing is that with what they're spending with this whole research thing, they're asking the wrong people. They're only asking those who just got out of the Galactic Star Cruiser to know their thoughts and stuff like that. But they're not asking people why they're not going in. The people who refuse to go into the Galactic Star Cruiser. Those are the people that they should go and ask. I don't know why they're just focusing so much into why all within just the immersive experience, like people who have actually paid money into this whole thing.
It's the whole corporate mentality of, well, if you even think about asking us to receive less money for this, you're to be burned at the stake, and you're not going to work in the industry again. I mean, but even when that's the obvious solution, they always try to sidestep it and think, well, maybe they don't like the color right here. Maybe it's the design of these rooms. Maybe if we switch the furniture around, it could. No, it's the price, stupid. That's all it is.
Exactly. and honestly, I would say that
I'm like Bill Hicks up in here. It's that you've forgotten how to judge correctly. Take a deep breath. Look at it again. Oh, it's the price. Exactly.
Yeah, and I will say, I feel like the price would honestly solve all the problems, because as much as it would get a lot of criticism for all the other aspects, I feel like if you do put down the price, maybe $2,000 or even just $1,000 for those 2 nights, people would honestly be a lot more forgiving over the things that they would offer, because they're from the perspective of paying either $5,000 or $6,000 just on those 2 nights. And people love to go and make fun of the elements that are within the Star Cruiser, but really, you put down the price and people will suddenly be a lot more forgiving with the stuff. Go on.
Not everyone will be forgiving, I'm sure. I mean, people still find things about Galaxy's Edge to bitch about, but yeah, people will. I mean, first of all, if you lower the price severely, people will actually go to this thing and experience it for themselves and judge for themselves whether this is worthwhile, and not just write it off as, oh well, I'm never going to be able to afford that, so who cares? You know, I can do without it.
Yeah, and by the way, there's also another interesting thing to mention, that there is a possibility that when it comes to this survey, it could be misinterpreted. Some people might think that it's not because because the Galactic Star Cruiser was a flop, but they're thinking maybe to do another immersive hotel, in which it states here, it's right over here. The focus group they're being asked to participate in it is a night. Okay, no, actually, I'll start by over here. The publication points out that the location noted on the survey doesn't match the location of Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, but wondered whether the email was incorrect or if it's pointing to early research into a similarly immersive experience at Disney World. So from there is a possibility that they're just getting feedback because they want to know if it's worth making another one, but with a different theme.
Well, they can't make it with a Marvel theme, or can they? Because Universal, of course, has the rights to Marvel in Florida, but then again, I mean, they've got the rights to Marvel at a theme park. Maybe the rights to Marvel at a hotel are slightly different, but the I don't know. I don't know what else Disney has that they could build such an immersive environment out of, except maybe, unless, I don't know, maybe they could make an Encanto hotel. The idea is that you're staying at the casita. That could be interesting. Although that's just one movie at this point, and we don't really know how much staying power that's going to have. Whereas they're never going to stop making Star Wars movies. They're gonna, or Star Wars content at least. So I don't know. It's like, yeah, this, I mean, I'm sure part of it is just them being confused, because the whole concept of an immersive Star Wars hotel should have been a slam dunk. And it's literally just that they're catering to the super rich with it. I mean, you know, it's like they hired the lawyer from Jurassic Park, you know, the lawyer who's like, we can charge whatever we want, $2,000 a day, $10,000 a day, people will pay it, you know, and you know, like, if you compare this, now I've heard defenses where people say, well, you know, this isn't really a typical Disney World hotel experience. It's more like being on the Disney Cruise Line. But the thing is, if you actually do the math and compare the cost of this to the Disney Cruise Line, the cost for, I think even the most expensive Disney Cruise Line package, 2 nights cost like $2,000, not $5,000 or $6,000.
And how many nights would that be?
And those are the most high-end ones, yeah.
Yeah, how many nights would that be, by the way?
Well, I think Disney Cruise Line packages tend to be longer than that. I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but I think, you know, even adjusting for that, I think, like, even the most expensive Disney Cruise Line packages that are like $4,000 or $5,000, I mean, that's for a week. So if you reduce, and this is just for 2 nights. So again, it does come down to price.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, when it comes to like Marvel, I can actually see that, because technically with Universal, yes, they do have the rights to Marvel when it comes to theme parks, but not necessarily all the Marvel characters, though, which is why Disney managed to get away with releasing Guardians of the Galaxy
Cosmic Rewind. But the question is, what other characters, like, they were able to get away with that because the Guardians are not considered Avengers, but you'd kind of be hard-pressed to find other, at least popular in the MCU, Marvel characters who aren't on some level considered Avengers. Like, they can't do Wakanda, for example, because Black Panther is considered an Avenger.
What about Doctor Strange?
I think he's considered an Avenger too. I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. It's I mean, granted, you know, this is all pretty fluid. I mean, you know, I mean, one could even legally make the argument that since the Guardians were there in that scene in Endgame where Cap finally says, "Avengers, assemble," that maybe they count as Avengers too. But so far, to my knowledge, Universal has not attempted to pursue that legal method because they probably know they'd lose. But, you know, I know one of the rules is that even at Guardians Cosmic Rewind, they cannot put the Marvel logo anywhere. Like, that's strictly off limits. They can't, They can't call it Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. They can't do that. Even at DCA, which is supposedly exempt from the Islands of Adventure exclusivity, they can't. The reason they call the land Avengers Campus is they can't put Marvel in the title. Universal owns I think American rights for putting Marvel in the name of a theme park land. Even if you are allowed to use those characters. So yeah, even like back when Mission Breakout opened, when they had a whole summer long Marvel theme to their thing, they had to call it Summer of Heroes because they couldn't put Marvel in there. It's crazy how these legal things all fall into place.
But then again, they could just say Avengers and they're pretty much all
Sure.
good.
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna show up expecting Diana Rigg?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, overall, it's just kind of crazy to see like the continuing story with Galactic Star Cruiser. And I'm just out of curiosity, Tony, what do you think is going to be the future of the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser? Do you think Disney will inevitably reduce the price, or do you think that the hotel might even shut down before any of that could happen?
I don't see it shutting down. I could see them lowering the price of it, but I gotta say, and I wish I had better news for you, just based on Disney's track record with such things, I could see them reducing the perks before they lower the price, just because they figure, well, no one's buying it, so why should we be putting as much effort into it? I have a feeling that ultimately they probably will reduce the price. They'll probably make it a tiered system, but like you only get the full immersive experience if you pay full price for the damn thing. And if you only pay a smaller amount, well, you get to stay in the Star Wars hotel, but maybe you have to pay for your food or something, or you don't get to participate in all the games and shenanigans and things. I don't know. They'll probably introduce some sort of stupid caste system like that. It's ridiculous.
But then again, honestly, I wouldn't mind that because it's a hotel. That's the point of it. I don't see why you need to have a full immersive experience where you have to stay at the hotel when you're at godforsaken Walt Disney World. Like,
yeah, I mean, everyone who stays at most of the people who stay at Walt Disney World presumably already have hotel rooms. So I don't know. Maybe they could offer something where for a much cheaper price, you get everything but the actual room. You can come in and see the dinner show or whatever they have there. Kind of like what they do at other Disney World hotels with shows like Hoop-Dee-Doo Musical Review or the Hawaiian Luau show at the Polynesian Resort, where even if you don't stay at the hotel, you can still come just for the show. But maybe they'll do something like that. I don't know. But I know they really want to maintain that, immersive sense of after you book your stay and you show up and you check in, you're supposedly getting on a spaceship that takes you to the main spaceship and then you're in space for that whole time except when, for that midday sojourn to Batuu where you get in the side entrance of Disney's Hollywood Studios. And I don't know what they do for people who venture beyond Galaxy's Edge in that regard. I don't know if they have to stay together like a tour guide to no Muppets over there. Don't pay no attention to that roller coaster that looks like a Slinky. That looks like a dog. Pay no attention to the dog coaster behind the curtain.
Yeah.
It's but so I don't know exactly how that works. Again, I haven't actually done Galactic Star Cruiser because it's too expensive. And I'm not a fucking millionaire, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Disney actually handles the fallout of all this, because this is shaping up to be one of their biggest disasters, at least in terms of stuff they've added to the resort in recent years.
Yeah, so one of the biggest Disney park failures in like a long, long time.
I would even venture so far as to say the biggest possibly since DCA 1.0, if not the original Euro Disneyland.
Oh, dang. So, that's bold.
Yeah, I mean, people just, at least from my vantage point, like I said, I haven't seen the exact numbers of this, but I mean, if Disney's already looking into figuring out what went wrong, then yeah, it doesn't bode very well.
Well, I mean, they must be aware at this point, especially when everybody who commented on social media, they all told them that it's the price. So maybe Disney could do something about it, but
Yeah,
it just remains to be seen.
I guess so. Oh yeah, Walt Disney Studios Park. That was a pretty big failure too.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, I remember I remember going into that when it was like brand new. I think it was like in 2007 or something like that. And like I didn't even spend like I didn't even spend like a whole day. Like I did all that I wanted to do before lunchtime, and that's it. Like did the crush what?
Was this before like Crush's Coaster and the Ratatouille ride opened there?
No, it was like when Crush Coaster was like brand new. It was like the latest ride to go into, and everything else is just like a very watered down Disney Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, it that part kind of sucked initially.
Oh yeah, it did. At least they're gonna have like that big expansion, which honestly is very well needed. All right, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to know your thoughts.
Copy paste, folks. Copy paste.
Copy paste all your price comments now. What do you all think about Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and what do you think about like what they could do to improve? Do you really think it is the price? Do you think they should do something else? Let me know what you all think about this. Hold on a sec. Let me just. All right. Personally, I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge or seen the Galactic Star Cruiser myself, but it's really frustrating that Disney doesn't realize that it's because of the price why so many people are frustrated with it. Seriously, it's the reason why I can't stand Bob Chapek as the new CEO, and in my opinion, this is why when it comes to the Disney parks, that's when Disney is at their most despicable and their most greedy. Yeah, sad to say, man. Sad to say.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like another disaster for Chapek that he can't get a break from, only this time with the Star Wars themed hotel. I haven't heard about this news until now from the looks of it. Disney did a poor job with the prices and the size of their rooms, for example, and I can't see them losing money on I can see them losing money on that. As for Chapek firing a good executive, that was stupid, as he continues to make things worse for the company. Oh yeah, that like I honestly wasn't sure about like having that as a full discussion here, but like yeah, I didn't know. That seems like a major power move for Chapek, because I heard apparently Peter Rice was like the most likely to be the next CEO after Bob Chapek, from what I've heard. Let's see now. I may be someone who is very careful with their money, but even I could tell that people who like to spend a lot would just take one look at the price and decide to just walk away. The fact that Disney doesn't notice the obvious problem with pricing just makes me want to shake Chapek. Also, I just wanted to point out my favorite part of the article, especially they're paying even more money and try to find out why their Star Wars hotel was seemingly a flop. Yeah, their solution to why they're losing money is to spend more money to figure out why they're losing money.
Corporate America, wee.
Yep, solving solutions the American way. Just throw money and see if that can work. Let's see now. Right here. Oh, was I not done? Oh no, wait, no. Okay. I don't think I can ever go to that hotel, not because of the price, but because I am afraid of travel by plane alone and my family's preference. My parents prefer either normal hotels or beach hotels. They are never into hotels with specific themes, even if I would like the idea. And I don't think they would want to visit this hotel, especially with the price. I mean, they once spent thousands of dollars trying to get a visa for me and my sister to have a 2-week vacation to 2 states in the U.S. Ooh, jeez. All right, I think from here we'll read one more comment before 2 more comments actually before we cap this off. I just don't need it, the Star Cruiser, because we already have a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I'll just stick with the land because it's one of the best lands ever made in Disney's history. Also, I've never been to Disney World, so I know this hotel is not really worth it. Let's see now. This hotel sounds like a disaster. If they really want to improve the hotel, I feel like they should, 1, listen to focus groups, and 2, lower the price, because at this point, this hotel will end up as a place that only Mr. Dink from Doug could afford. Exactly.
Mr. Dink. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, exactly. So I think with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Tony, thank you so much for taking your time to come over here. It's been an absolute blast.
My pleasure. And once again, if you're interested in finding my stuff, I am on Twitter at Tony Goldmark. My YouTube channel, which I don't really update anymore, except occasionally with podcast episodes, is youtube.com/Tony Goldmark. But if you're interested in watching my old web series, Some Jerk with a Camera, you can find it all archived there. And if you're interested in checking out my podcast, Escape from Vault Disney, you can do so wherever podcasts are available. Our most recent episode was actually a guest choice episode on the original 1951 Alice in Wonderland. And that one was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed that movie. It's one of my favorite classic Disney movies, and we had so much fun talking about it. And there's no new episode this week. I am going to release a mini-sode on Wednesday, and I'm going to have a live tweet of something on Disney Plus at the podcast official Twitter feed at EFVD Podcast on Thursday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific. But we will be back next week with an episode featuring AniMat right here, in which we talk about an episode of a Nat Geo series called Jungle Animal Rescue. So be sure to tune in for that.
Yes, all right. So with that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening, and thank you all so much for watching. And tune in next week for more fun-filled, crazy stories that we will go and discuss. And with all that said and done, I would like to just go and say, see ya later, dudes.
See you later, dudes.